With the Fighting Irish picking up a huge win in West Lafayette last week in the rivalry game against Purdue, Marcus Freeman and the Notre Dame Fighting Irish head home for a matchup that could, if you could believe, leave them on upset alert.
I don't believe anything.
Well, it's possible. Want to find out who they're facing? Find out next on Talk Like a Champion. Welcome back, Irish Nation. Thank you so much for joining us yet again on Talk Like a Champion. Of course, I am the one and only Mr. CeeLo, joining you here again. And we are coming up on week number 4. But before we go into what week 4 is going to have in store for us, we got to send our best wishes to Billy Schroth and Ashton Craig and Jordan Batella. Craig and Batella were announced that their seasons were ended this week due to knee injuries, and we wish them a full recovery. Schroth could be out several weeks with an injured ankle, but we're hoping to get him back as soon as possible, hopefully in the next couple of weeks. We're going to need him. But we also have some big news on the recruiting front, as we have learned that formerly committed quarterback Deuce Knight will not be visiting South Bend this week. He will be on his third visit with the Auburn Tigers, the third in the last 4 weeks. And while this has become somewhat of a normal state for the Fighting Irish, we do also have a couple of, as I said, we are adding a bunch of players to the list. We've already offered a scholarship to an elite 2026 wideout out of Mississippi by the name of Tristan Keys, 6'2", 175 pounds. He's ranked number 41 in the entire country, and he's number 6 at his position. So this could be a possibility of another giant playmaker that is adding his name, but there are rumors that Keys has ties to Deuce Knight. Deuce Knight has been open about wanting Keys to play with him in South Bend. But the reality of it is, the Irish are now not necessarily looking for elite playmakers, but they are looking for some guys that can do some things and do some things very different on the recruiting front. However, not only are they looking for guys that can do things differently on the recruiting front, but we also have some special players coming in this weekend on a visit. And these two visitors that will be in the stands for the game this weekend will be Washington athlete DeAndre Waverly and Georgia athlete Antavius Richardson. Now, I'm excited about both of these players. However, I'm looking at the Washington native Waverly, and I'm thinking 6'4", 225 pounds, and they say he could play as a tight end or split out wide as a receiver. I don't know whether Denbrock's going to stay here or not. But the one thing that has really irked me as a Irish fan for the longest time is we have not had a big-bodied receiver that a coach has allowed to go out and just play jump balls with for the longest time since Chase Claypool. It would be great if Denbrock or Marcus Freeman allowed Denbrock to call some more fade plays or back shoulder fades, if you will, and allow these elite prospects that you have to go up and get it. This is the problem I have with the whole Deion Colzie thing. I know he got in last week and he had a chance at a grab and he didn't make it, but this is the thing. You have to create more opportunities here, Marcus. You have to create more opportunities, Mike and Marcus. You got to allow these guys to go make plays so that when they get in these moments, you can have them and they will be comfortable with them. And then you can get guys like T. Waverly that say, hey, look, they give me opportunities to be great. Listen, Demaryius Thomas, God bless him, made his name off of jump balls at Georgia Tech. Made his name. The other player, the 6 foot, 175 pound Richardson, is viewed more as a defensive back. He is ranked as a 437th overall prospect. Here's the thing that I really like about this kid. He's got speed, but he's got that size that you want as a defensive back. Not height weight-wise, but that height. You always want your defensive backs, primarily corners, to be around 6 feet tall with those long arms. But we will have those guys from class of 2025 in the stands this weekend. Now, there's a lot of people talking about the Deuce Knight being at Auburn, and possibly if Auburn can loses this weekend, this would be a huge wrap for Notre Dame. I don't think that would matter. I think Deuce is looking for an opportunity where he would play, and I think that's ultimately what honestly the play calling. I can honestly tell you, I think that's what it will be. A lot of it's going to be the fact that he's not going to get the playing time early on. But let me know in the comments what you guys think about Deuce Knight and Waverly and Richardson, as well as our injured Irish Warriors. But let's move on to the game, as the Irish will host the Miami of Ohio Redhawks. Not much I can say. A lot of people have said this is arguably the worst team in college football. I'm not going to go there. But it's just like every other game that the Irish have played this year. They're looking to get things on track. We have to get things on track. We've got to continue to place momentum in front of momentum until we get to the point of where we're starting to hit the meat and potatoes of our schedule, which this is the first time I can honestly say the Notre Dame Fighting Irish don't have a overly difficult schedule, but they've stubbed their toe already. And don't get me wrong, I think Northern Illinois, they're still winning, but the problem is you cannot afford to be a national contender and with a schedule like this and you lose a game. It's that simple. You can't lose this caliber of a game and think people are going to take you seriously as a elite program. And that is what the Notre Dame Fighting Irish have been having to fight for several years, not being in a conference, not being able to prove to people that they can win with elite competition. And when you lose a game of this magnitude, which they did, many people still see you as a joke, a laughing stock. And you cannot move up the ranks of national contention when people see you as a joke and not as a jock. Let's look ahead. We see the Fighting Irish will go into this game hoping that they can keep their running game going. I think ultimately that the Irish are going to have to continue to keep the defense of the Red Hawks off balance by continuing that misdirection running game that they deployed against the Purdue Boilermakers last week in West Lafayette and commits to running for over 300 yards. But a lot of analysts are saying that the Irish this week should be no different against Miami. And they got to continue to run the football efficiently and effectively. And the way I say this is that Denbrock's going to have to change his method of thinking, because apparently it's not in Marcus Freeman's best interest to go outside of the realm of throwing the ball, outside of the realm of just running the ball. I'm a firm believer that in order for you to win a national championship, you've got to have a passing game. Michigan had enough of a passing game to win a national championship. You can't get away with it when you don't have scheme runs. And the problem I see with the Irish is they don't have the type of schemes that the Michigan Wolverines have. The Wolverines had a lot of shifting that went on in their running scheme, and it's not translating over to the Irish. And what people don't understand is you can't just line up, hey, I'm going to run at you. You have to shift, because what happens is now defenses have gotten more and more and more cerebral. You've got to either send guys in motion, or you have to give them 2 to 3 things. Give them shifts. Give them shifts and give them change of formations, so that the defense, especially your linebackers, have to either readjust, realign, and reassess. Did you get that? Good. We cannot win the old-fashioned way anymore, and this is a good chance for Denbrock, Freeman, and the whole entire offense to start with the new realignment, because once you get into the Georgias, the Michigans, and the Texas defenses, you're going to have to perform shifts. Even your bad defenses like Ole Miss, I'm not saying they're bad, but they're not up to par to be elite. They're not elite defenses. And what you have to be able to do is you have to be able to schematically beat these defenses. I know what you're going to say. There's a team up in our vicinity. I'm not talking about them, because I think they're suspect. And I know you know who I'm talking about. We played them last year in South Bend. Yeah. Moving on. I think the major keys is that we're going to have to continue to do what we do. There are not a lot of strong points that you can look at towards, and I'm sorry to say this, but Brett Gabbert is their quarterback. They're just not a good football team. They really are not. There's not a lot of good things to look at. I look at possibly Love and Price going off. I'm not talking about 100 yards. I'm not talking about low 100s. I'm talking about these two guys could go for a piece over 150. We may not even have to run Riley Leonard, but I still hope we sprinkle a few things in there for repetitional purposes. So I'm really looking forward to seeing what Denbrock is able to do, some things we can practice on. Definitely seeing Steve Angeli. That's what I'm looking forward to. Now, just as sure as I said that against Northern Illinois, yeah. Hopefully the guys can do what we did, race out to a huge lead, and Riley Leonard does not have to play in the second half. We get a couple of carries for Love and Price, as well as getting these younger guys some reps. Because, listen, I'm going to tell you something, you guys. One thing, if the Irish can get their depth to another level, like guys like Kennedy Urlacher, and we can get the Bryant kid out there and get him some major meaningful reps. Listen, if we can get some contributors off that bench with that second unit, and we can get some real rotational pieces out there, especially on the defensive side, you guys. I know you got ball hawks all over the field in that secondary. These guys love to hit, and they love to play defense. But if we start meeting the big dogs, when we meet the big dogs, when we get in the playoff, you heard me, when we get in the playoff. not a question of if, when. And we probably will end up in that top spot, guys. And I'm talking about the bottom of the 12-team playoffs. So that means we're at the top playing one of the big dogs. So, yeah, we have to be ready depth-wise. We're going to have to be ready. The only way that's going to happen, now the chips are going to start to fall. But about 3 or 4 parts are not going to fall. And you do not want to go in there ill-prepared when you have other teams that's got the depth. The top 5, 6 teams in the landscape of college football, their depth is deep. They go 2, sometimes 3 guys deep. We have to test that depth. And it also helps for the future. If we can get ahead in these games and push the game out in the second quarter and we can get these guys off the field and get these other guys playing, experienced, seasoned, ain't no telling. And I'm honestly going to say Denbrock, yes, do we need to get the game over? But we also need to get Riley Leonard some deep shots. We got to test the deep throw because we're going to need it later on. We can't say we're going to run an old school New Orleans Saints Taysom Hill type deal. We're going to bring Leonard in. We're going to bring in Steve Angeli to throw the ball. But I'm going to say this, you guys. We need more. We need to get this game over with. Love and Jadarian Price need big games. Bo Collins needs to have some opportunities. And our other receivers need to get some stats in this game. I would say we come out, run the ball the first 2 to 3 drives, take a couple of shots on the second and third drive, possibly second, possibly third and fourth drives, and possibly get this game over with by first half. Continue to try to do better things such as coverage-wise for the secondary guys. Make sure we're passing off assignments when we blitz. Make sure we're passing off good defensive assignments as well. There's not really much we can talk about keys to Miami. Just don't make a lot of mistakes. Miami is a less talented, unfortunate football team that's on our schedule this year. Very fortunate for us. But we have to go out and handle business at home. Don't allow this to be another bad homecoming. Give our fans something to look at. Give our fans something to be appreciative of. But that's going to do it for us, you guys. Let me know what you think the keys are to this week's game against Miami, Ohio are. Hit me up over at Talk Like a Champion on Facebook. Also, hit me up on Instagram at Mr. CeeLo. Let me know what you guys think of the show. And finally, when you subscribe, comment down in the comment section. But until we meet again, may the road rise up to meet you. May the wind be always at your back. May the sun rise warm upon your face. May the rains fall soft upon your fields. And until we meet again, may God hold you in the palm of his hand.